Katie and Eric Dublis give us wonderful insight into how millennials think about religion, community, and congregation life. It's an important conversation that I had the honor of having with them that I'm looking forward to all of you hearing. Katie and Eric, how are you?
Good.
We're good. How are
It is
you?
great. It's great to see you. What's been going on? Fill me in. How's life?
Life is busy. Life is exciting.
That's what it means to be a late 30 something, right?
Yeah. A few months away from 40 for me. So
When's your birthday?
June 17th.
All right.
Yep. And June 18th will be number two's birthday. Hopefully.
Number 2 is coming. How are you feeling, Katie?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah?
Excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So you guys were living in the city. Now you're up here. How's the transition going besides crazy?
I think with it being just kind of the way the world is right now in the pandemic, it was a very easy transition.
Oh, good.
Because in fact, all what happened was our world got bigger. Instead of a condo, we now have a house. So we have more space to run around in. And all the enjoyments that you have in the city are more of the social aspect of, walking to the restaurants, walking to your bars, walking, to different stores. You weren't doing any of that. The
Right.
parks, yeah. So there wasn't much of that going on. So
At least for us.
Yeah.
the transition right now has been easy.
Good.
When this all breaks and next summer,
We might miss the city a lot.
I might cry. Yeah.
So when we moved here on the condition that we would spend all our time in the city. Can I tell you how many times we went to the city?
On your one hand. Yeah.
All right. So let's start here because, Katie, I want to start with you.
Okay.
You grew up at Hakafa and you were one of the first kids, right? I mean, because you're 38, 39 years old, 37. The congregation's 37 years old, right? So I don't know you were here from the very beginning, but tell us about growing up at Hakafa.
I remember, the first thing that occurred to me when you asked that question was I remember getting stung on the monkey bars outside after Sunday school. I think Sam Joel and I were outside.
Are you sure what was Sam Joel? You sure it was after and not during? You didn't skip?
I don't think we were rebellious enough at that age or rebellious yet. But yeah, I remember getting stung on the monkey bars outside, and that was before the building looks the way it is now.
Right, it was the old one when the jungle gym was out back.
Yeah. But I remember a lot of outside things. I remember Sukkot celebrations outside, getting together with everyone in the congregation. I remember the bagels. I remember Hebrew school and singing together at the end of Hebrew school. I actually remember driving home from Hebrew school with my dad every Tuesday. My dad picked us up and we'd drive home and we'd listen to the same radio show every Tuesday evening. So that's a memory I have. Not necessarily of school, but...
Were you one of the kids who loved being here, but wouldn't admit it, were okay being here, or couldn't stand being here?
I loved being there and would admit it. And then I'm in high school when you're too cool for all of that stuff, any kind of school. I think I was I chatted a lot in class and I was distracting. I remember getting in trouble a little bit.
Eric, why are you shaking your head? Eric, why are you shaking your head?
It's hard to imagine Katie getting herself into trouble.
I might have snuck out with Sam Joel and gotten stung by the bee. I don't know.
So wait, you grew up in Lincolnshire, right?
Right.
So what was it like for you coming here from Lincolnshire? Because you weren't with a lot of people at all that you went to school with or anything.
Right. So I remember our class was pretty consistent. I remember being, I still, I wouldn't say keep in touch, but I still like on Facebook, know what some of the people from my class are doing. But I remember several people like from the beginning all the way through confirmation in high school. So I felt connected to my peers because we had a really great, tight class. But I do remember a lot of them went to school together, but they all invited me to their bar and bat mitzvahs. I didn't have a bat mitzvah, but I remember feeling a part of that community and feeling like it was a comfortable place for me. And I kept in touch with Danielle Garcia for a long time.
She comes to Tot Shabbat with her kids.
Really?
Yes, she does.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Who else is in your class?
Becky. I don't remember her last name, but I can see her. Becky something.
Okay.
Sam, Aaron Rifkin. That's who comes to mind. Those are the people who we were
close
all
with
together for a long time.
And you went all the way through confirmation.
Oh, Jason Shore.
Okay. And
Yeah.
and you went all the way through confirmation.
Mm-hmm. With
Cool.
With Rabbi Marks.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whose funeral was yesterday.
Yeah.
So
How was that?
it's a funeral. I mean, I miss him, love him, and I miss him. It was snowing,
Yes.
right? So, but it was an honor to be there. So we're going to jump forward since there's that map behind Eric's head. You were on the trip in 14, right? Was it 14? 13? 13.
Mm-hmm.
You were in the 13 trip.
I think so.
And it was your parents. And I remember that trip. I remember the airplane ride there when you were telling me about this guy.
Huh.
It was this guy, right? I mean, this is the guy. You had just
guy.
met
I
him.
hope so.
Yeah, you had just met him. How'd you guys meet?
We met on eHarmony. I had somewhat recently moved to Chicago from the East Coast, from New York. And I was 30 or 29-year-old,
yeah.
still trying to
When you moved.
figure out what a grown-up was supposed to be. I'll let you know when I figure that
I was
one
about to
out.
say, I'd like to know.
But so I had actually started a whole new career, whole new industry, whole new city, and I decided to give the online dating a try, and I'd basically given up. And Katie was obviously the last date I went on with, but she was the last one I was going to try. I was just like, it wasn't for me. And then I met this one.
So I think I told you when you guys got married, I do very few weddings anymore that aren't online, but you might be my only eHarmonies.
I can see that. It's not super common among our age group.
Yeah. So why'd you
my
do?
aunt did eHarmony.
So why'd you do
We're still trying
eHarmony?
to get on the commercial. They should do that.
Why'd you do eHarmony?
Go ahead.
Just I think when I looked through some of them, it just seemed to be the one that was more about personal connection than it was about just trying to find something fun for the night.
What about you, Katie?
Same. Filling out the profile, the application was, I'm not joking, a 5-hour ordeal. I had to break it up into 2 different nights, and I had friends and wine help me fill it out. It was intense. But it was, I felt like it would, I wanted to meet someone, and I felt like it was a good avenue. I had done Match and didn't want to do it again.
All right. So be honest. How did you lie? You have to lie. You have to fudge something on the online thing. What'd you fudge?
I don't.
Oh, you wouldn't fudge. You're too honest.
I
Eric,
don't
what'd you
think
fudge?
Yeah, because I really wanted it to work.
Yeah. Eric,
Yeah.
what'd you fudge? You had to fudge something.
I think.
Oh, man, let's see. My picture was Brad Pitt. I had graduated from Harvard University.
Oh, perfect. Katie, what do you?
7 days a week. Yeah, those things.
Katie, what sticks out most for you from that trip to Israel?
Hiking.
Yeah. Was there a particular one?
Mm, Masada.
Yeah. Why?
It was hot. No, I mean, it's just, we walked around on the top and learned about it, learned about the space. And it was my sister. My sister and I did the hikes together.
No, I know.
It was like nice time together.
Yeah.
That was an early, I mean, they were all early, but that was like really early, right? And we did the sunrise.
Yes, we did.
Saw the sunrise. Yeah.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Did we do a river one too?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, I remember that.
Cool. All right. So you came back, and then eventually you guys got married. Eric, what brought you to Chicago?
My family, when I was in high school, my family moved to, or just before high school, they moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan, from New York. As soon as I got out of that, I moved back to New York, and I was a stagehand on Broadway, which is really cool and really fun work, but it's also very manual labor. Lots of late nights, early mornings. The networking was done in bars, so you were very. I felt at the age of 28, I felt like I was 45. And so I just kind of said, you know what, I'm ready for a career change. And I wanted to get, and my older brother was living in Chicago at the time, and he had his second kid. And I had only kind of hung out with his daughter one or two times already. So I said, you know, I want to be a better uncle. I want to be closer to my family. I couldn't do Grand Rapids, Michigan again. So I went to Chicago, and I started in a IT sales position where I couldn't even tell you what I was selling. I used terms like ooey and gooey and SOEs and all this, and I had no idea what I was doing.
How'd you do? Did you sell well?
I was great. Really good. Anytime they said, could you do that? Absolutely. We got that. We're the best in the biz at that.
Cool. Talk a little bit, if you would, about your Jewish journey.
So after I had met Katie and we realized this was something that we were both in for the long haul, and that we both were very interested in starting a family together, we had a conversation. I'll remember this. We're actually at one of her friend's house. I can't remember what suburb it was, but we were staying the night and we were having a conversation. I think just the two of us, and she had mentioned something about, if we had kids, what faith would we bring them up in? I was brought up Catholic. My comment at the time was I've lost sort of my religion, not my faith. I lost my belief in a lot of the religious stuff. I went to Catholic high school, and I've often said that if you want to not have a Catholic child, send them to Catholic high school because they will force it right out of you. But so I said, well, you enjoy the Jewish faith, so I think we would go and bring them up in Judaism. And I said, but if we're going to do that, I want to learn about it. So Katie said, yeah, it's a good idea. So we went to some adult classes that you were just kind of leading through Hakafa, and it was just some group discussions. And I think one of the things that you were talking about was questioning everything, and my eyes just lit up. I said, whoa, wait, what? I'm supposed to question? And I remember like driving home with Katie that afternoon, kind of talking about like how much that meant to me to be able to question, and how much that drew my belief and my faith stronger to be able to challenge everything that I'm told. And so I said, I think I would like to actually convert. And Katie goes, you don't have to do that for me. And I said, no, I think I want to do it. So we sat down with you. I forgot the question you asked me. I used to remember this question because I thought it was a really good question. And we sat in a room, and I remember we had a conversation, and then we kept meeting in your office. It became a book club because we were also meeting for the wedding. Small Gods. Yep. It's great. Discworld. And Katie started making jokes about if she couldn't make it, she'd be like, oh, you'll be fine. You and Bruce will just hang out. You guys don't even need me there anyway. You guys go off on tangents.
So you talk about faith. Katie, would you say that you've had this and despite, I can't believe I just said despite I'm a rabbi. You talked in terms of religious school, and I asked, because that's what I asked you. Would you consider you to be someone who has faith?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I asked Eric that question about our kids, our future kids, because it was important to me to keep the Jewish tradition, the Jewish faith in our family. My
Why?
family.
Why?
I mean, there's just so much intimacy and there's so much intimacy around the traditions that
That's a great word. That's a great word.
well, I mean, maybe that's how my family always like celebrated and did the Jewish holidays, but it was always like the immediate family. Every year, you celebrated. You went to services. You got together in someone's home. You cooked the same food. It was just intimate, and I always looked forward to it.
So, I mean, I'm glad you used that word, because us starting the young adults group through you at your place, and that's the perfect word for me to explain what it felt like coming to your place every time I came to your place, either with the young adults or with Diana's naming or something. The two of you naturally create that kind of space. So I'm glad that's the word you use. So explain, either of you, both of you, besides intimacy, what's your faith in, and what does faith mean to you beyond intimacy?
Uh, for me, it's a faith in humanity. I think a faith in the good in people.
You feel that this year?
Yeah, I really do.
Wow.
I've seen through some of the most horrific times and hardships. I've seen some of the more miraculous sides of humanity. Also, I've seen. You watch the news and all they're highlighting is obviously the bad, but I work in an industry that's very very man driven, testosterone, all former sports, college athletes competing against each other. We're stronger, we're bigger than everybody else. And my CEO this year kind of came out and said, openly talked about how the pandemic had messed with him and his mental health, and he bought career coaches and mental health people to come and everybody at the company can just take time and meet with these people free of charge for the company.
Wow.
During the workday.
During the workday.
Wow.
When the George Floyd and the all of the protesting was happening, there's a very fine line you have to walk when you are in a corporate setting. But I was very proud that my company and the people that I sat with, the way they reacted. This is a group of predominantly white males, and our reaction wasn't, well, we're not racist, or, well, we don't see that. It was, we don't understand. Who can we talk to? Who can help us? And we brought people in and we tried to do what we could. But it's not even just that. I see in the worst of times, every time you turn on the news and you're watching these protests and you're watching whatever happened, if you really look into the crowd and not listen to what the news is saying, you see people hugging. Or you see people with their having each other's backs. And I think it's easy to see the bad and look at Donald Trump and you look at all of these very challenging things we face, but I also see that there's another side of humanity that's fighting. And I'm not saying all good is winning, because it's definitely not, but it's my faith is in everybody has that side that can win if they let it.
What about you, Katie?
So I think, so part of faith, I think, is understanding the Old Testament and understanding the stories and the books and like the prayers in Hebrew, and that's something that I feel like when Diana asks me about those types of things, I'm not going to be very good at answering, and so that's something that I would like to work on. But so that's part of it, I think, part of faith. And the other part is the just prioritizing your family get together, you're going to services during Jewish holidays. And I feel like my strength as a mom and a family member was always wanting to be present for those things. But like wanting, like, I don't, do you know the PJ Library? So we have, I mean, the books are amazing and
Are they
they're
great?
helping me.
Yeah, they're great.
And Diana loves them, and I just see like what a cool, I mean, that's faith, like learning about planting a tree and watching it bloom and seeing it the next year. You know, I think instilling, oh my gosh, she loves challah. She knows Shabbat. We have Shabbat. We do Shabbat in our home once a month. Like, that's the intimate, you know, that's the faith that I think that's my strong suit, is we make time for that. And we want, when we thought about where to move in the suburbs, we thought about a Jewish community, like available for our family, and a Jewish identity for our kids, not being the only Jew in their grade or, you know, their class. So it's a little bit of all those things.
So what's missing from both of your definitions is the G word. Where's God in all of that
God.
for both of you?
There, yeah, God.
Huh?
I mean, I believe in God.
Yeah. I yeah, I think that's what the good is.
So you associate God only with the good.
Yeah, I guess I do. I guess I do. I don't. It's hard for the way I guess my belief is to see that there would be the other side. I guess I feel like the bad is the human. I don't know how to put it, but yeah, I guess I would associate, yeah, only the, like, I see the good. God is the good, I guess. I don't see a battle of good and evil from a, like, as far as a God and a devil or whatever, or there's anything like that. I guess I see it as like God is almost like a parent. There's a part of the parent in you, but you're not all the parent.
That's interesting. What about you, Katie?
I also like a positive connotation. I think, especially, I think about God more when something is hard, but then I'm associating God with getting through it. Like, I don't necessarily pray to God or rest, like, but I do sometimes think like this will be okay. Like, we are not given things we cannot handle. I think that's a you know, commonly accepted view of God. But I sort of feel like that's that's how we're taught to believe in God, right? God will put you on a journey. God will guide you. This is given to you because God granted this. I think when things, that's
okay.
It doesn't have to be easy either. I don't think that means like because God, like, it's probably in my mind the challenge, the harder part is good. It seems like it's easier to not care, to not look out for people. So I think sometimes people hear the word good and they think, oh, it's the easy way, but I don't think that's necessarily either.
Do you talk with your friends, your age group, around this stuff ever?
I feel like I've talked more recently about it than I have in the past.
You
Just sort
think?
of with certain things that have gone down, it's kind of brought the conversation to that
Hmm.
point.
What about you, Katie?
I went to a Lutheran college, and so a lot of my friends have a really strong Catholic and Lutheran
Hmm.
faith, and some of my closer friends, like someone I saw recently, a very strong Lutheran faith, and we talked about in relationship to something going on in her life, like God, this God is giving you this opportunity or these circumstances, um, kind of like what I was saying earlier.
So why do you think? Because all of us old people, all of
Mm-hmm.
us oldies are convinced that the future of congregation life, organized religion, is bleak. That folks your age aren't joining, that they're not connected, that they don't want to be connected, that this stuff is whatever. Respond to that.
Because I think the version of what the congregation is right now, or what we're used to, is bleak. I don't think there is that version anymore. Just out in the world, connection and social life has changed drastically since when I was young. Um, now it's done on the internet. It's done in social networking. There's a lot. It, there's an ease of information out there that's just ready for people to grab a hold of. That there's almost a thought of they know more than anybody else. But I think the bottom line of it is the what sort of drew me here to convert to Judaism was the idea of challenging what we're told, and we're all the my age group, and I think younger, is got enough information through the internet and through just being able to connect to different resources now, that we feel more empowered to challenge the way things are. So when you say, whether it's in Catholic and you go to mass, or Judaism and you were showing up on Shabbat, it's why do I need to show up for this? Why does that have to be part of my faith? And the answers you kind of get are because that's how it's done, or because that's how we've always done it. And that's no longer a gratifying answer, I think, where we'd rather congregate small with through the what we've done with the young adults. We have friends, Seth and Gabi, that we get together with every now and then, and we do discuss these things when we get together. And that's kind of more of the smaller groups, maybe multiple different households or different groups getting together from the same congregation or same community, is probably more of where I would see what would work, more than just everybody kind of sitting down going through motions that we're not even sure what we're doing.
Hmm. What do you say, Katie?
So I think I guess a lot of my recent responses are as a parent, but I'm thinking about like when the stuff that I get Diana involved in and do with Diana, and it's like arts and dance and sports and like, and so I think we forget like the value of something like a congregation, a community, and a congregation, because in my mind, I think I'm just speaking kind of for myself, but I'm so like immersed in like, what can I do for Diana so that she's challenged and experiencing all these things and developing, and those activities, these arts and physical, like those are the things that come to mind. And so I think we get caught up in those things, and we're we are busy. We're not too busy for a congregation, but I think in our minds, these other things take priority. Like Saturday, she's doing soccer, she's doing a dance class. Like these are the things that are in my mind, like the things I think of when I'm like, these will help her develop and experience all different kinds of things when. So it's that, and I don't know, this sounds really silly maybe, but money, like, I think again, like a priority, like how do you, choosing the things that, the benefit, or like what Diana gets out of going to soccer, I think we see that more like right away, right? She had so much fun. She ran around and then napped really well.
Oh, the truth comes out. The truth, it's all about the nap. Okay, I got it now. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, we see those, what is the word I'm looking for? We see how it...
The immediate benefit, the immediate impact. Yeah.
Pretty quickly. And then I think in a congregation, like now as an adult, I see the impact that it had on me, the good, positive impact that it had on me. And so I think this is a comment on like this parenting generation. We're so obsessed with what's going to get our kid the most immediate.
How to create self-actualization quickly, right? And and well-roundedness. I mean, that's what I'm hearing you say. But I don't want to put words in your mouth because I don't want to miss what you're saying, misconstrue. Okay, so it's interesting, right? And you kind of answered it a little bit, Eric, when you started talking about small groups, right? Is that you are right. Your generation, that's why I have so much respect for the millennials and post-millennials, because you guys are smart, you're quick, and you're pissed. Can I say that in here? And I say that with affection, right? And I think you and I talked in one of our times together when I talked about the failure of my generation to push up against the baby boomers. So you're stuck with baby boomers still who haven't gotten out of the way. And that's 2 generations removed. So I get that. But you run the risk of us being so convinced that we are in our own little silo, right? Getting what we want from the internet, the echo and the confirmation bias and all that stuff. That's where is the intimacy in that, right? And don't you need others outside of your own little circle to create strong intimacy? Not the right. And then I was listening to you, Katie, and my thought was, yeah, we run our, because we did the same thing. I'm up from up here, right? You run your kids around so much that the fundamental thing that they're missing is Shabbat. Now COVID changed that. Mm-hmm. Right? But still, the very essence of the things that we hear by the time you're 44 and you're like, oh my God, I just want a snow day.
Yeah.
Right? So, Rona keeps saying, Rona's the saddest thing now is that no one wants a snow day. Rona talks about that all the time because of post-COVID. So how do you reconcile, right, the need for intimacy that can't be just in your own little silo and the running around to give your kid everything that they need without giving them what they might, that's presumptuous, that's space, right, which is community. That's what I'm getting at. How do you create community in your new world?
I think that's a part that I think a lot of my generation misses. It's got to be intentional. Community is no longer just a given. You have to intentionally seek it, and therefore you will end up finding the others that are intentionally seeking it. I'll take where we just moved from, our condo building as an example. We had a 18-unit building, and when we moved in, there was a great sense of community. We actively found it. We had neighbors who were actively looking for this social community. We actually created a social committee for the condo where we would get together. We would get together in somebody's unit for a little bit. We had a lot of fun. There's a bar across the street where we would meet at. And then slowly but surely, people started moving out, and new people came in, and those new residents were not as interested in community, and the community broke down,
or a different community,
and it shrunk, and so it's something where it's got to be intentional. That I think you have to try, because it's too easy now to just stay in your own bubble. It's too easy to get everything you need from your laptop or your phone even, and not think about
what you need or what you want.
It's so that both of those are so easily mixed right now. I think.
Okay.
But like I remember, I am just old enough to remember the days when we didn't all have cell phones, that you could just go somewhere publicly and just stare at your cell phone if you didn't have anything to say, and you had to be uncomfortable and reach out and talk to people. It's something that I actually talk to people at work about, is living in the uncomfortable. And I think that's something that my generation and future generations are going to have to understand what that means. And that's, like, you have a neighbor that you haven't talked to, walk over to them and say hello, hi. Don't text them, like face to face. And if you see someone struggling, it's okay to offer help in person, not in form of a Venmo or a or
Zelle. I'm a Zeller, not a Venmo, but that's
Zeller. Yeah.
What about you, Katie?
I think it's also having a common something, a kid the same age, an interest in something, even living in the same neighborhood, living in the same building. You have something in common. The people that he's talking about in our building that we had such a strong bond with, like, we're in very similar life spaces to us. Like, well, most of them, like, had a kid around the same time, or adopted a kid around the same. We were in similar life spaces, and I think that helps a ton. When we go to these classes that I run Diana around to, there's automatically a common piece that you have instant community, and then the repetition. I think repetition builds community too. I think having the common, something in common, and then repetition. And I think it's really hard to build community without consistency.
So yeah, I think you guys hit the, you really, I'm really glad you've said what you've said so far, because this is what we're struggling with here, right? Is that anyone looks at anywhere on the North Shore, just about, or any suburb in America, and sees, not just in Judaism, just the graying of religious institutions. And we can say, we do this, and everything you're talking about, but you show up and there's no one that looks with your color hair in the room, right? You know what I mean by that? And so what does that mean for the future of American Judaism, or just Judaism in general? Is if your generation doesn't find meaning in the spaces we're creating, and maybe what you're talking about is creating your own spaces, and maybe that is enough for you as Jews. But what does that mean for Judaism moving forward, do you think? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. we felt and feel really connected to the young adults group that you started.
That we started.
Yeah, true. Teamwork. Yeah. Face to face.
Which will be again soon. I'm looking forward. Hopefully our next one will be that way, but keep going. Go ahead.
But yeah, we still love, we weren't able to make the last one, but we still love going. The last one we were at was the trivia. It was a blast. And there's the common, people our age, and I can't even count how many kids there were. There were so many kids, and repetition. You've kept that going for how many years now? But anyways, I feel that, I think, is the closest I feel to a Jewish community right now in my life. Well, and what we do as a family in our home with Shabbat. But I think that's something that community that we've created, we will make time for. Like yeah. So I think to your point, it's changing. Maybe it's changing.
Yeah, follow through, I think, is what you were saying too. The big part about like you following through and keep pushing it through, and knowing it's there, even though one time it might be 4 of us, and the next time it might be 20 of us, and but just knowing that it's gonna come back, it's gonna keep going.
Yeah, but that's
Also,
not what I'm hearing from you guys. I'm sorry. Finish your sentence. Go ahead. I cut you off.
also it's the what spaces are being created. Is it the spaces that are cared about, as far as for what the younger generation is looking at? Is this space, this is just what we've taught, this is what we've looked at, or are we creating a space about the movements and the issues that are affecting the younger generation and that they want to be a part of?
Well, that's what I was about to say, right? The best definition of innovation I ever heard is coming up with new ways to do the same thing over and over again. Right? And that's incredibly destructive. And it's pretty clear you've got the tension about people who want things the way that they've always been because that's why they're here, and people who aren't showing up because it's not speaking to the needs of what the next generation needs. So I'm not asking you to solve this. I mean, frankly, I had no idea we are going to be talking about this. But I just think it's a really interesting dilemma of how do we create a space for a lasting communal relationship for people your age? Or maybe it's not up to us to create it. How do we create the space for you to be able to say, community is this is what we want, and this is how it has to happen? You haven't been given the voice yet. Right. And so that's kind of a real challenge as well. What do you think well, first of all, before I ask this question, show the picture of Diana, because we keep talking about her. Look at that punam. Oh my God, I love that smile. Oh, what a punam. All right. What do you think what do you want Judaism to look like for her? And what do you think it's going to?
I want it to look in a lot of ways like my childhood, speaking to what we like, what we know. But for the family, I want her to celebrate holidays and celebrate them with family. And if she doesn't know everything there is to know about the Old Testament, that's okay. But she has a good feeling about getting together with her family, and it's important to her. And that she'll always love challah.
What about you, Eric?
I have a very different perspective because I didn't grow up in the Jewish community, so I don't want my daughter to have the same growing.
Don't send her to Catholic school then. Yeah. You'll be okay.
Well, I mean, hey, apparently,
or send her to Catholic school.
Want your kids to be Jewish, send them to Catholic school or Lutheran colleges. You'll be all set. But I think for me, the one thing I definitely want it to be is safe. I want it to be a safe space for her to be herself. A safe space for her to have her own beliefs, have her faith, and have it be nurtured and not attacked.
But you said also that it's good to be uncomfortable. So you want a safe space for her to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. But being uncomfortable doesn't mean you're getting attacked. Doesn't mean you're getting torn down. Most of the times we're uncomfortable with... Diana's actually got a great book called I Am Brave. And it talks about most of the times that what the things you're scared about are not things to actually be scared about. And once you do them, you're happy you did them. Of course, they're talking about going off a big slide, which is really fun. But I think there's a lot to I think that just our own internal fears, how they just keep us from doing certain things, and they're nothing to be afraid of. And I think to have a safe space to be able to explore that zone, to be able to explore that uncomfortability is would be very important. And one of the other things I kind of actually thought about while you were talking was you were asking, how do we create the space? How do we do this? Maybe it's not your job to create the space. Maybe it's somebody our generation, our age. We need a voice. We need someone to stand up and say, I'm going to do it.
Are you trying to get rid of me? You're trying to get rid of me? Is that what you're saying?
No. No.
I'm kidding, Eric. I know. I'm well aware. I say the same thing. I agree. That's one of the reasons we started the young adult group, was because not only, I mean, there was a few, right? One of them was I really missed all of you and I wanted to be in relationship with you. And it's also the very first conversation we had at your place was talking about somewhat the same conversation, right? Because that's what we need to hear and to listen, right? So I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
Oh, but I was just, I think it's too many times we try to solve other people's, other generations, other cultures' problems when it's not our place to do that. It's we have to create the space, or you have to create the space, and somebody else has to step up and take the torch. If I'm just going to go with what is prevalent in my mind right now, and as I was watching the verdict and the people that were talking, you know, it wasn't a group of white people that were standing up there saying that this was social justice. It was the families of George Floyd and the minorities that are truly affected by the violence standing up and saying this was a step for us. We did this, and there was the white people that they thanked, that I have heard talked about, weren't the ones that stood up and said anything. It was the ones that stood back and held back the others and let them have that space to stand up on that stage.
I think that's very well said. And I would add, again, since I love to bash my generation, that a generation that doesn't have substance, there's nothing for the next generation to push up against, because you don't, you know, so you've almost had to create it for yourself. And negotiating that's really, you know, a challenge for you all, because we didn't give you solid, we didn't even give you grass, right, to stand on, as opposed to concrete. It's kind of sand. And in one way that's really exciting, because again, I think your generation is really standing up. Despite the annoyances that people make fun of about millennials, which a lot of it's okay, I get it. You guys have really decided we want to take control of this, right? And that's great. So how do we create? Is the general question. I'm always, you can always age people by, or you can always tell how old you are as parents, your kids are, by what books you reference when you want to tell something. So thank you very much. It wasn't the English professor that did that, by the way. So let me ask you, Katie, are you still assistant dean or dean? You were dean. You were dean of no, you were assistant dean?
I was chair, one of the department chairs.
Okay, you're not anymore. You cycled out of that.
When I went on my maternity leave, I also went on my department chair leave.
Are you teaching now?
I am. And then I'll take another leave in the fall. So
don't think hard about this. I want you to see what comes to your mind immediately. What book would you assign in your basic English 101 class that you think would be the most provocative to express what's going on in society right now?
It would be a book it's a picture book that is... See, there you go again. Picture books. Go ahead. No, go ahead. No, it is. It's in Diana's library. It's called I Walk with Vanessa. And it's about ostracizing someone and someone seeing that that's wrong and hurtful, noticing that her neighbor is sad, and bringing her back into the playground with all the other kids, and going against the one kid who ostracized and really like pushed Vanessa out. Yeah. So for college students, that's what you would recommend? Yeah, I think picture books are, like, maybe a couple of years ago, there was like a big push for picture books and like books with no words. And
So basically, what I'm hearing is no more small gods. It's everything I needed to know I learned in kindergarten. That's what I'm hearing you say, Robert Fulghum, right? So why a picture book?
because you can interpret it. I mean, so you can interpret it to, you can connect it to what's happening in our society. Most recently, the George Floyd murder or case, and all the murders that have happened recently. You can connect it to your group of friends. You can connect it to your family. You can make so many different connections to a book with no words. You can see yourself in the book. You can interpret it. There's no analysis of language. There's just kind of free thinking. And I think that's our department right now is really pushing, I think, our school, talking about critical thinking and encouraging students to think about things, not in concrete ways, but really like, and the importance of connection.
Well, that's liberal arts. That's a liberal arts education, which is so lacking, so incredibly lacking now. So let me ask you guys one or two more questions. Are you hopeful?
Yeah, very hopeful.
Say more.
One of the things I think, right when you said that, my mind went right to what we've kind of been going through lately, just me and Katie in our own lives. So to kind of go into, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We have a 2-year-old daughter. We're both adjusting to work from home life. We are pregnant. We have decided to sell our condo, buy a house.
Live at my parents.
Basically, if there's anything that we could add on to this, please let us know, because we want it. We're trying to tackle everything.
Well, I just let you talk, this for an hour. That's great. You're welcome. Go ahead.
But
maybe that's why we feel hopeful.
when we talk about it, and we starting to get stressed out, I would sit with Katie, and I remember one of us would get stressed, and the other person would look at the other one and go like, yes, but think about August. And I think that's my hope right now. August is my hopeful. August, the baby will be born. We'll be in our new place. We won't be dealing with real estate agents and banks and lawyers and doctors and everybody else. It'll be finally our place, our space, our family. But so right now, August is my great hope.
Well, I think when I'm usually the one that gets stressed out. He says the August thing, but the other thing Eric will say is like, these things are really in our lives really good things. Like they come with stress in terms of like the logistics behind them, but these are really exciting things that are happening in our lives, and that's.
Your house looks great.
Oh,
I
this
looked.
is what my parents.
No, I know the house. No, I went online because I want to know where you were, because of the naming. I went to look at where you are. I thought you guys were farther west, but you're across the street from Ryerson Woods. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I walk there all the time I had never hiked there. I did in October with my sister. It's phenomenal, the hiking over there, the walking, the trails.
Did you go by the river?
All over. Yeah, I did the long route. And then your house, not that I was snooping or anything, but the house, the ground level, the Tudor house, beautiful, nice yard on the corner there. Very nice. Well done. But continue. So talk to me, Katie, about you. Are you hopeful?
Yes. When I can get out of like my personality is just like very like list driven, and I get caught up in like getting these things done. And so when I get away from that, when I like leave my phone in my pocket and scare Eric because I'm not responding, and just enjoy a day at the park with Diana, like, or whatever, when I can like put like myself, truly like separate like the list, from what we're doing. Yeah, like I'm able to slow down, and that puts things in perspective.
They say that Shabbat is a taste of the world to come. That sounded rabbinic, but in fact, it's that when you take that moment to stop and just right,
It's
there's
hard.
just
It's really
it's hard.
too. But
It's so hard.
it is though. That's why I want these things for Diana and for our family, because when you get there, it's it's worth it. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, quickly run me through the family. How are they doing?
Good.
I didn't even say, for those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't know, Katie's an Ettlinger. So her grandparents founded the congregation. Her parents have been here forever. She's got 2 siblings. You tell us the rest. Go ahead.
Sure. So Miles and Stevie are up here, and that's Jacob and Lainey.
Move it a little closer.
Those.
Move a little closer.
Oh, sorry. Is that good?
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Fantastic.
And then Sadie is Kelsey's dog. And we're all going to be within like 10 minutes of each other now.
Where does Kelsey live?
Northbrook.
Oh, fantastic.
Same with Jacob and Lainey.
No, I knew that.
And then
Oh,
my
fantastic.
parents.
Oh,
Yes.
good. Good.
We're
Here's what
good.
I hope. Here's what I hope. I hope that we continue these conversations because I care about you both deeply. We've had a long, long road together and it's been great. And I look forward to seeing where it takes you and where it takes us. So
Too.
thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. That concludes this episode, everybody. And we'll see you the next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.